The Fever Dream of the Maltese Falcon, a Taipei Noir, year 2080, Episode 11. 5 degrees in new Taipei City, a perfect day for air conditioning to be on the blink, but without heaters, the residents was suffering. 305,437 reported infections, 13,859 deaths. The border between the upside and the downside was not very savory. Ultimately, the worst of both worlds. When Lummix saw the kid on her front steps, even though he looked relieved that his salvation had arrived, there was a deep-seated grimace in the corners of his mouth. Something was off. Inside Lummix's building, the hallway was considered dark on a normal day, but on that day, it was menacing without any particular reason. Again, something felt off. Lummix saw that the door was slightly ajar and cautiously pushed it open. Inside, in plain sight, without any attempt to hide, she saw Dàshān, like a Chinese lantern, nestled into her massage chair. Opening the door the rest of the way exposed the full motley crew, a scowling Wessel, a bored-looking Frenchie, and the kid, again, bringing up the rear. "What the hell's going on here?" Lummix demanded an answer. "We've come to collect, my dear," Dàshān responded with his revolting charm. "Collect what?" Lummix stalled for time. Come, my dear." Dàshān looked at his watch. "We've got a timeline we need to respect." He lifted one of those old-style, money-counting, counterfeit-detecting briefcases tucked behind the buzzing chair, which was still chugging along, struggling to barely knock the non-existing knots out of his already stress-free back. "I believe this is what you're interested in," Dàshān said, and he passed the briefcase to Lummix. Of course, the money-counting, counterfeit-detecting features no longer worked. Dàshān smiled at the briefcase now in Lummix's hand. "I knew there was a good reason to hold on to my old broken-down tech." She took it, unimpressed. Even the fingerprint scanners were on the blink. She clicked it open, and inside there was a mass of half-crumpled bills. Even if any of the tech was working on a brand-new machine, there would be no way it could process any of these bills. "This isn't what we agreed upon," Lummix said. Dàshān thought about this for a minute. "I don't recall agreeing upon anything other than the amount." "How am I supposed to verify this?" Lummix asked. "My dear, circumstances have changed. This isn't a game of tiddlywinks. There's no time to dilly-dally. I was forced to improvise. Now we all had to pitch in." He mimicked tossing a ball towards the case in a manner of someone who had never touched sports in their life. "More mouths to feed," Dàshān explained, surrounded by the hungry eyes, hanging on his every word. "This doesn't work for me," Lummix quipped. "It's not my problem you made deals behind my back." Dàshān remained calm. "You're right, and yet here we are." He indicated the briefcase. "With you and an attaché full of money in your possession. Take it or leave it." Lummix handed the case to the kid, who was now tucked away in the corner, and muttered under her breath, "Hold on to this. I know it's hard to believe, but you're the only one I can trust in this room." The kid remained silent, but understood, and sat on the case. Lummix turned to Dàshān. "So I've got the money. How much? I have no idea. And the cure. And you want me to just hand it over." "It's time," Dàshān urged, his veneers starting to crack. Lummix knew that. "And leave me with the Luther killing hanging in the balance. Those are issues that don't concern us. You know that. That's what your payment is for," Dàshān pushed back. "A man connected to the cure you want is murdered, and you think you can make me the fall guy, so to speak," Lummix shot back. "I wouldn't put it that way, but if you insist," Dàshān chuckled. "You do realize I don't have the cure with me?" Lummix pointedly asked. But you already have the money. The deal is as good as done. Lummix motioned to the kid. Give me the case. The kid relented, and Lummix grabbed it, tossing it back at Dàshān, hitting him in the chest of his tightly buttoned up and swollen chest coat. No dice, Lummix shot back. Dàshān chuckled again, but this time unsure of himself. Relax. This is not my problem, Lummix conceded. Kid, we'll find a buyer with the right amount of money. Lummix eyed Dàshān. You've outstayed your welcome. Come, Dàshān placated. We can work out an agreement. Of course, I'm open to anything on the table, Lummix said. In particular, Wessel. Lummix narrowed her gaze at Wessel, who'd been unnecessarily trying to wind her up since they first met. Wessel peered back, as if to start a staring contest. Well, that could never happen. Wessel is like a son to me, Dàshān whined. With the baptismal of confidence, Wessel stood up. You've been asking for a bruising since the first time I laid eyes on you. And he took an unceremonious swipe at Lummix. Lummix expected this type of treatment from most men. On some level, she knew in her eyes, her dominant demeanor even asked for it. Always casually at the ready, she turned, cheek-side, and took half a step back, moving her person only millimeters away, and Wessel's missed punch led him floundering on the floor in amazement. Lummix's secret weapon was decorum, or rather, the expected lack of decorum. In 2080, men still didn't punch women in the face, but in the old days, she'd learned that she'd come across as tough enough to take a punch. A punchable pig face, a detractor once said, so she was always at the ready. Dàshān laughed at Wessel. Surprise, surprise, you went down like soggy pao mian. Dàshān motioned to Frenchie to help get Wessel off the floor. With their guards down, as they were lifting him up, Lummix wound up and sucker punched Wessel with an uppercut, and he went down with a thud, knocked out cold into a snore. Dàshān let out an uncomfortable laugh. To be expected. Dàshān acknowledged the evidence of his knocked-out so-called son. Perhaps something could be arranged. But first, I think you need to talk to your boy. The case is feeling a bit light. Don't be ridiculous, Lummix shot back. Don't think I got this way because I don't have a knack for understanding all aspects of the imperial notes, Dàshān replied. Dàshān turned on the digital scale on the briefcase and scrolled through the history. You see, only moments ago, it was 10 grams heavier. 500 grams. Now it's 490. $1,000 bill is a gram, so you owe me 10,000. I thought you said it didn't work. Lummix was angry. I lied, said Dàshān with a huge smile as he turned to the kid. The kid knew what this meant. It wasn't me. Lummix couldn't be sure either way, since she trusted none of them. Frenchie was still able-bodied, and her fist was a little sore after hitting Wessel, so going after the kid, the smallest common denominator, was her best way to buy some time. That's a likely story, Lummix rebuffed. She pulled the kid in close by the nape of his neck. Don't think I'm going to mother you now. It's too late for that. I'm telling you the truth, the kid protested harder. Don't believe him, Dàshān pushed. He's been on the make longer than you can imagine, maybe even longer than me. I'm serious. What benefit do I get? The kid pleaded. How far could I get? Lummix stared deep into his eyes. One of the kid's eyelids twitched, but his eyes were clear. Close up, Lummix could sense some truth. Detective rule number 10. Only trust what you can see with your eyes. Lummix knew nothing could beat the old lie detector test with a close-up investigation of anything in question. In Lummix's business, fakery and the double cross were standard fare baked into any interaction, like the overripe, sickly sweet pineapple paste hidden neatly into the inner depths of a Taiwanese pineapple cake. Close up, not even the consummate professional could whiff deception, except for Lummix. Okay. She let the kid go and turned to Dàshān. Give it up, she demanded. What do you mean, Dàshān feigned confusion. I'm not playing your game, and I'm gonna flip you like a beached whale, as undignified as that may be, if you don't stop this. Dàshān hesitated. You've got no one else, Lummix reminded Dàshān as she wielded her umbrella, and Frenchie slunk back. Dàshān sheepishly checked the weight again, and it was back to 500. You've got to enjoy the little things in life. Lummix snatched the case. My sense of all this is that this is all you can afford. Dàshān didn't like the sound of that. My dear, don't underestimate my resources. Should I hold my breath? Lummix quipped. Dàshān considered the proposal. Of course you can. However, I know you don't know me well enough to know I am a man of my word. I would never put someone on the spot. Unless you're pointing a gun at them. Don't mix my business with your pleasure, Dàshān reprimanded. Whatever that's supposed to mean, Lummix said. It means my work is decidedly different from the gumshoeing that you're wrapped up in, Dàshān mumbled. I'm trying to save lives. You're just playing a game. Don't you mean you're trying to save your own life while playing with extortion? Lummix shot back. The hunt would not be worth it if there weren't suitable prey at the end of the day, Dàshān said, and became uneasy in the massage chair, as if it were starting to hurt. I don't know anything about your calendar, and I don't have all day to wait around. Please tell a hello your virtual assistant and set up the drop-off. Lummix, don't give in to those ne'er-do-wells until you know who murdered Luther. Under normal circumstances, I would generally concur, but it turns out this is neither the time nor the place, Lummix responded in a controlled manner. Let's just finish up and get out of this rotten deal. You're the boss, Xiaohua retreated. Get it here after the place opens up in the morning. Got it, Xiaohua clicked off. God forbid. Why didn't you order her over here right away? Dàshān implored. She's an AI. Besides, I'm not going to put my tech at risk for your two-bit antics. I'm outnumbered here 2-1, and you've probably got a guy on the outside waiting. You've got your money, Dàshān repeated. And you're going to let me walk out of here, out of my own place, with the money when you don't have the package? Lummix asked. Why wouldn't you leave? Dàshān laughed with his nose turned up at the dismal surroundings. To leave this dump with 500 large? It's not what I was expecting, but I could start again, Lummix said. Dàshān scrutinized the dump with a critical eye and guffawed. I've never considered how the underside lives. Actually, I assumed you didn't really live here. Do you really? Of course I do. How could I not? Of course, Lummix's question was rhetorical, but still valid. I assumed everyone got out after the vaccines went extinct. Dàshān somewhat assumed aloud. When you say everyone, you mean anyone with means. Of course. Who else would I be referring to? Dàshān's retort was sharp and blunt at the same time. There's no value in anything if your life amounts to nothing. From the mouth of babes, Lummix quipped. Even though I should be flattered that you see me as someone with potential means. Seriously, I'll be the first to admit life was a disaster even before this disaster. Not even dog eat dog, but dog eat dog that just ate a dog. Dàshān laughed at his own joke and nudged Frenchie, who followed suit, keeping up appearances. But seriously, this is no life for anyone. Subscribe to Type A Noir on Spotify, Apple, and Google, or wherever you get your podcast. And please share with friends. Type A Noir is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Non-Derivatives 4.0 International License, which means share it with your friends, but don't use it in your own work and don't sell it. See you on the downside.